Hey, friends. So today we are going to elevate your life by talking about those feelings you get when you think about trying something new or getting into a room with people who are farther along than you at something. So, those moments when we start to internally sabotage our growth, right? Those moments where we start to tell ourselves, who am I to do this? Am I capable? Do I belong here? Am I worthy? And you start to question your own relevance. And worst case scenario, you decide to sit this one out and just tuck that dream back in, right? Tell yourself it's just not that important. Where you're at is good enough. It's just not in the cards for you because of the multitude of excuses you'll create in your mind to help you stay comfortable and avoid change again, because you'll always find the evidence that you're searching for. If you want to believe it's not in the cards for you, you'll find proof that it isn't. If you want to believe that you'll succeed, then you'll find proof of that too. So I actually did a podcast episode on feeling like an imposter back in April. And I know that wasn't so long ago, but I had something happen that I'll share later. And I just felt called to talk about this again, add a little bit extra for you guys. So today we're going to talk about how to shift those self-sabotaging thoughts and make them work for us instead. So let's reframe the way we look at those feelings when they start bubbling up in challenging situations. This is something I battle all of the time. So I am so excited to talk about this with you guys today and share some of my own experiences and some of the own rewiring things I've done with my mindset to help me deal. So first of all, why not you? People with less than you have done more. People with what we will just call worse starting points than you have done more than you, have been successful in the thing you want to be successful in. And sometimes these feelings are just us making it all about ourselves. So we got to get over our damn self if that applies to you. You're not the only person ever to be a beginner, to not know what you're doing, to fail, to look stupid, trying to figure something out, to be in debt, to be unhealthy, to start your life over through a career or a relationship or a location at an age you thought you'd be more settled in. You get what I'm saying? You're not the first. You're not the only one. So we have to stop making it about us. Do you ever catch yourself saying why someone else had it easier than you? Like, what the actual F, right? I know I do this. We tell ourselves someone else had it easier, and that's why they saw success, and we don't or won't. And that's self-sabotaging. You literally don't know the work that that person put in, even if you think you do. And those thoughts are not serving us when we do that, right? So I know I've looked at others in my profession and thought, well, she's younger. She's blonde and blue eyes. She's got a lot of friends and family that support her, and her husband financially supports her. And so she's got more time freedom, right? She's got this traditional weight loss story that more people relate to, pointing out all of the reasons that it worked for her. But what if we start training ourselves to catch ourselves in these moments and point out ways that it could work for us too? So her success does not mean that there's no success left for me, for us. Success is not reserved for certain people. It's not reserved for people who we think had it easier. It's reserved for people who work for it. Whoa. How other people got there is irrelevant. It's also none of our business. Success is just reserved for people who work for it. That means it's possible for us. Talk about a reframe of your thoughts, right? You're a beginner. That's a whole different soundtrack to play in your mind because a beginner has room to grow. Now we got something to work with, guys. So now we just have to write ourselves the permission slip to learn, the permission slip to be a beginner. And it's okay to feel like you don't know what to do yet, because you don't. The people already seeing success didn't know at first either. So let's look at them as proof, right? They didn't come out of the womb experts in whatever the thing is. They learned, they practiced, they failed. They didn't let that stop them. They kept being a student, and that's where growth happens. How about if we start expecting those feelings of, am I good enough to be in this room, to do this thing? How about if we take those feelings as a sign that we are heading in the right direction? If we're not growing, then we're dead. That sounds super harsh, I know, but it's how I approach a situation that's telling me it's time to expand. Know that it's part of success and leveling up your life. It means that we're on the right path. And regardless of the stories you're playing in your mind about why this was easier for someone else than it is for you, that person felt those same uncomfortable, unsure feelings as you are right now, but they just showed up despite them every day. And that stepped into the opportunity of becoming better at something. Some let those imposter syndrome thoughts and feelings stop them, and some let it be a sign to take some action. It's up to you to decide what you're going to do with those thoughts. How many uncomfortable things have you survived? I bet it's a lot. I can think of a lot, just already off the top of my head. And you know what comes on the other side of those things? It's that feeling of satisfaction, right? It's not as satisfying to stick my kid a Kraft mac and cheese in the microwave. Go with me here. As it is to successfully bake something I've never baked before. Because I already know how to make the mac and cheese. It's not requiring much for me. It's like a few buttons on the microwave, right? I like baking. So don't feel like you got to go bake something today. I'm just using this as an example. But for me, baking is so satisfying because it's so precise in its ingredients and directions that when you complete it and it's beautiful and it tastes good and it's the right density and texture and all the things, I feel so good. I feel like Martha Stewart. Or think about it like this. It's not as satisfying to do an easy workout, one you know won't really require you to sweat or get your heart rate up or learn a new move. When you finish, it's like you're just checking off a box. Okay, I did a workout today. On to the next mundane to do. Versus when you push play and finish a tough workout and you're breathing heavy and sweat is pouring and you push through a moment or moments when you wanted to quit. Damn, that is satisfying to finish. You feel so proud, right? You start building momentum with that kind of feeling. That momentum of proving to ourselves that we'll survive a challenge, and facing that kind of fear and feelings of being uncomfortable builds that confidence in yourself. It will keep you leveling up in your life, and it starts creeping into all other areas of your life, and you start to recognize your worth and demanding more of yourself. And that's how you create the life that you're dreaming of. So we need to get to a place where we stop avoiding those feelings of, do I belong here? Am I worthy? Am I good enough? What if we stop trying to avoid that and thinking of those as bad things, and instead recognize them as signs that we are about to level the hell up, because those feelings will always be there no matter what level of success that you get at. Because there will always be someone better than you. And thank God, right? Because those people are there to push you. They are gifts. They are proof. Stop asking whether or not you belong and start focusing on what you bring to the table. And remember that they are no different than you, in that they were once a beginner too. But you have your own impact to make. Your life experiences are unique to you. 7 billion people in this world, I think, don't fact check me. 7 billion people in this world, and we all have a different thumbprint. Like, does that not blow your mind? You can do things, talk to certain people the way that others cannot because of your own experiences. Your impact is different because your life is not the same as anyone else's. Your emotions are unique. Your voice is unique. Your personality is unique, shaped by your experiences. There is room for you. There's room for your voice. You have a story to bring to the table, and you have a different spin on something. So bring your style to the freaking table. Get in a room, a role, an environment that challenges you. Think about this. Do you want friends that just tell you what they think you want to hear? They are lying to you. Literally, that's what that is. You're feeling all nice and comfy with them, right? And they're just whispering all the sweet nothings to keep you stuck right where you are, even though you've got all those dreams like tucked in tight and they'll probably die with you. But hey, least you've got friends that lie to you. Is that the kind of people you want in your life? Not me. I want to be in rooms that challenge me. I want to set up my life where I always seek that feeling of uncomfortable, and where I recognize that feeling as a sign that I'm on the right path, not a sign that this isn't where I'm supposed to be. So I want us to break free of those comfortable circles of lying people. I'm adding some humor here, guys, but you know what I mean. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was last year. Angie Lee podcast. I just love her. She's so just not trying to be like anyone else. She makes me laugh because she just says what she feels, and she's seemingly unconcerned about what anyone thinks about her. Anyone Anyway, she had a guest on. I think his name was Drew Canole. That just popped in my head. I'm pretty sure that was his name. So, you know how people say when you're giving a speech, like you imagine everyone in their underwear? So weird. Well, Angie, or it may have been our guest, Drew, said, we are all just human beings in meat suits. And I never, ever forgot that, because I think it's been over a year since I heard that episode, and it's literally the only thing I remember. We put people who have seen more success than we have on these pedestals, and we are really just human beings in meat suits, walking around trying to figure shit out. Like, none of us were born experts in anything. The successful ones just don't take life too seriously, I think, meaning they recognize the only thing between them and the thing they want to learn or master or attain is work. And it's that willingness to be a beginner, to learn and grow and accept that the path to success is not linear. Think of that person that already has the thing that you want, the person who has the success or the results you want in something. They are just a human being in a meat suit, just like you. Like, the idea of that just makes me smile, first of all, which is never a bad thing. But it also helps me take them off that pedestal and remind myself I can see that success too. You are capable. You just don't know it yet because you're not walking the walk. You will learn just like everyone else did. Life is all about contrast, right? You can't be an expert without being a beginner first. Do you ever notice when you get really scared, all of your senses kind of heighten? Like, if you're scared of the dark, me, or I used to be, becoming a mom kind of eases that fear a little bit because you're so used to functioning in the dark so that your kids don't wake up. But anyway, when you get that scary feeling alone in the dark, you start to kind of see things in the dark you wouldn't normally see. Like, you hear noises you don't normally pay attention to, right? You feel the air in the room on your arms, like goosebumps. Or think about if you're terrified of roller coasters, also me, you start to feel like your heart beating in your chest as you get closer to the line where you actually have to get on the cart. And, you know, your heart was beating before, right? But you just didn't feel it till now. You start to hear the roller coaster on the tracks coming each time comes to let people off, get more people on, right? And you start to hear people on the ride yelling more clearly, even though they've been screaming the whole time you've been in the park, but you're just more aware, right? So what if we start thinking about the fear we feel when we walk into an environment we aren't sure we belong in as a good thing? So it means it's going to heighten all of our senses, right? It's now a driver. It's going to show us exactly where we need to grow in order to level up to the level of the room. So we can use it to make us more aware. Now, this is an opportunity for me to grow and expand. We celebrate that. Instead of it making us question our relevance, we are now using it to heighten our unique message, what we bring to the table that no one else can. And now we can take a deep breath and open ourselves to the opportunity instead of letting it overcome us. We see it, we acknowledge the feelings that it's bringing up within us, and now we get to address it. How? By growing through it with action. So let's start thinking about what it's going to look like when we master whatever the thing is. How's that going to look and feel when you see the success you desire? This is how we start making our thoughts work in our favor. I want that feeling of success, don't you? I want to see my dreams come to life, don't you? I want to be good at the things on my heart I desire to be good in, don't you? I want the life I'm imagining right now that I once thought just wasn't in the cards for me. Through the big changes I've made in my life in my 30s, I've started to build up that momentum I was talking about. I started to face my fears. I started to get in rooms that felt bigger than me. I became a student and all the things I saw people doing that I wanted to do too. And now I'm searching for those opportunities of growth. You're not going to know everything about everything when you first start something. You know this, yet I still have to remind myself of this all the time, which actually I guess is a good thing because it means I'm reaching for big things. I'm thinking big thoughts. But I picked this topic today because, as always, I talk about things that I myself need to hear and be reminded of. Even me, who I said has built up this momentum of doing things that feel uncomfortable at first, I still have moments of, whoa, am I good enough for this? Do I belong in this room with these people? I wonder what they say about me when I'm not around. Are they thinking I'm in over my head too? Are they wondering why I'm here? I just pick myself up from those things faster than I used to, but I still have those thoughts. You guys, I started this podcast in early 2021. And before starting my own, I was listening to lots of podcasts of people who were like top motivational speakers around the world. I absolutely questioned why anyone would listen to my show when they could go listen to them. But then one day I realized that one of the hosts I just couldn't stand listening to. Her delivery just wasn't resonating with me, yet she had a top podcast. So then I'm like, oh, wait, she doesn't care. That little old me is not a fan. She's not speaking to me. There's 7 billion people in this world. She's got plenty of other people to speak to. That is when I realized there was room for me. And that's when I realized I was unique, even if we were both doing a motivational podcast, just simply by the sound of my voice, even. My delivery would be different. My life experiences are different. My stories are different. I've got a different impact to make. I'm not even talking to the same people she is. So then get this. You may have heard the Mel Robbins podcast came out just a couple weeks ago. She is an amazing author and motivational speaker. In case you don't know, well, first of all, part of me was like, sheesh. I'm glad I started my show before her because I may not have started now that the Mel Robbins has a podcast. Just kidding, sort of. But I did think about other aspiring podcasters that haven't kicked off their show yet. Those people wanting to start their own podcast and they haven't yet, right? Those people that were me 2 years ago. And now they see Mel Robbins has a show. Will they let it stop them? And I just couldn't help but think of those people because that was me. And that is actually why I picked this topic today and why I felt called to talk about it again. I want to tell those people there's not just room for you, there is a need for you. There is someone whose life will not get better because you decided you're not good enough to make an impact. There is someone who won't resonate with Mel Robbins. They need your voice. Don't tuck it away as another, it just isn't in the cards for me. How about you just play the hand you always wanted and then see what happens? Human beings in meat suits, you guys. That's all we are. I haven't said that without smiling yet. That makes me feel better. And it makes me laugh too. And next time you walk into a room that feels bigger than you, I hope you say, look at all those human beings in meat suits. And then I hope you think of this podcast and I hope you go, oh, right. They're no more worthy of success than I am. I belong here. I'm going to walk away from this further along than I am right now. I'm going to wrap this up, guys, but I want to leave you with one final reminder. Celebrate your small wins. Those small wins make up the big changes in your life, and we have to stop waiting on the big things to celebrate. Be unapologetically proud of you for walking into a room and knowing that you're a badass, for saying yes to growth, for being a student, for your willingness to be a beginner, for taking the first step towards whatever it is that you want or whoever it is that you want to become. When I recorded my first podcast episode, I went to the store. and I bought a mini bottle of champagne because it was all I could afford. And I took a selfie in front of my kitchen window because it was the best lighting. And I made a post celebrating myself that day because I took the scary step towards believing my voice could make an impact among all the other successful motivational speakers with a podcast. I didn't care how stupid I looked or if someone saw my post and said, "What's a podcast?" That didn't matter to me. I was celebrating a small win towards a big dream. Celebrate your small wins. Buy yourself some flowers, a mini bottle of champagne, run a hot bubble bath, eat something you love. Celebrate regardless of if anyone else is celebrating with you. Be unapologetically proud of you just for being willing to grow. There is a bracelet also on Amazon that I just purchased this week. I'll link it in the show notes for you guys. The message on the bracelet is, you are enough. I'll be honest. I found this bracelet because there was another one that said, keep effing going. And that's totally my personality, but it's not something I actually struggle with. You are enough is something that I actually need to be reminded of often. So I feel like the idea of being able to walking into a room that feels bigger than me, looking down at my bracelet, right? When I need the message, I feel like I'm going to love that. And it suits this topic today perfectly. It's only $7.99. Grab one if the reminder would help you too. Okay. It's time to wrap this up with a bow, because I don't want you just walking away from this episode today and not doing anything with it. 2 weeks ago, I told you to pick 3 goals to complete by the final 90 days of 2022. Now I want you to start thinking about something you can achieve in 2023 that scares you, that makes you feel uncomfortable just thinking about it. I'm challenging you to start taking the steps today to achieve that thing. Create your plan. You are capable. You are worthy. The stream is on your heart because it was meant for you. Guys, if you'll do me a favor and head over to my YouTube channel and push subscribe. If you're listening on a podcast platform, I'll put the link to my YouTube channel in the show notes. Go subscribe. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure you're pushing subscribe over here. Head over to your favorite podcast platform, push subscribe on my show there. These little things, these little pushing subscribe, taking 30 seconds to leave a quick rating does so much for my show and tells whatever platform you're listening on that, hey, we need to get this in front of more people. So I so appreciate that time you take to put in a little extra support for what I'm doing and help me get this message out to more people. All right. Lighthouses don't question their own worthiness, right? Based on whatever another lighthouse is doing. They just stand there shining. So don't dim your light to fit in. Don't dim your light to not outshine someone else. Don't dim your light because you think it's not bright enough. Someone else's success does not mean there's not room for yours. We all have the power of thoughts. Successful people just learned how to make their thoughts work for them and not against them. So when you step into an environment that feels bigger than you, remember this: you've just found an opportunity for growth. You get to expand who you are from this experience. Feeling fear? Questioning if you're capable? Questioning if you belong? Good. Use it. Let it be your driver. Let it take you down the road to a destination you thought you'd only see in your dreams, because you will never know what you're capable of until you take that first step, even when it's an uncomfortable one, especially if it's an uncomfortable one. You are capable of amazing things. Go take up space, my friend. Go shine your light. Until next episode. Be.